teams. CrossFit Invictus leading the way, having bagged 831 out of a possible 900 points. Its lead did shrink, although, in the Coliseum last night. CrossFit Oslo Navy Blue chipped 16 points away, right now sitting in second place. CrossFit Ombia rounds out our top 10. Test number 10. Jeremy, we've got a whole bunch of fun-looking new implements on the team side.
Oh, a tough one. Bob's a drag. You are not kidding. 4 rounds of a 500-meter run, a jerry can carry, a log traverse for something completely different, and then Big Bob back on the field. This time, pulling Big Bob down the field, and a 25-minute time count.
Let's go down to Lauren Smith to talk about some of these new implements.
Look at this final log traverse. I'm 5'2", this is 5'5". Luckily, athletes can assist if there are some shorter girls on the team. But this is the brand new implement we've all been talking about for the bob pull. Athletes are gonna lock themselves in and they're gonna pull back as a unit. We spoke to Griffin Rowley from demo team earlier on. He said that actually, if you work in sync, that 585-pound sled's gonna move super fluidly, which begs the question, where is this test going to be won or lost?
Lauren Smith, thank you. That's a perfect segue, Jamie Higia, because is it run on the bob pole or is it run somewhere else?
You know, this is the first time athletes will be able to touch this new implement, so it is all about who can adapt on the fly and figure it out the fastest. Also, stronger together, they're going to need to stay in one tight unit with perfect timing, a perfect tempo, and a lot of communication.
One heat, 20 teams, all out there together. CrossFit Trondheim in lane 1 does have a test win under its belt. The super team from Sweden, Prestanda, in lane 6. Invictus, the leader, dead center of the field in lane 10. Mayhem Independence is in lane 14. Crew from Cookville started this week with a test win in test number 1. But the lane to watch is East Nashville Proven. The defending champions Andrea Nisler and Taylor Williamson were with Mayhem Freedom last year, and because of that had all of the expectations and pressure, and for some reason, they've been great, but they just haven't been in the mix to win yet.
Expectation has been very high. 3 test wins from semis, the same amount at the games, and just something hasn't clicked, Jamie.
You know, last year they took a small hit after that run, but they won every single test following that. This year they had a small hit on that run, and they've been great, but it just shows you how perfect and flawless you need to be to stand at the top of that podium.
10 seconds in. Our clock timer here in this 25-minute time-capped event is brought to us by G-Shock, the official timekeeper of the Noble CrossFit Games. You can text 87121 for a chance to win a G-Shock watch, a CrossFit Level 1 seminar spot, and over $400 in CrossFit swag. Scan that QR code on your screen now. East Nashville Proven took a 20th place in that run test earlier on in this competition, and since then has been first, second, or ninth in any test, and it was one 9th place finish. But that is the importance of being able to go out there and be able to push the pace on a run, and of course, we have a significant strength element to this test with that bobsled pull, but you've got to be able to run as well.
Oh, you can't even pace this run. This is day 4 of the CrossFit Games. You have to leave everything out in the tank. And one test this morning in North Park, whatever's coming later on, we'll deal with that later, but they're going to have a little bit of a break, so they really need to empty the tank. And this run, you've just got to make sure all those 4 team members are back as a unit before we get going on the other implements.
Jay Adams for Milford running all by his lonesome at the front of that pack. He's already gone off the screen. You can see the red shorts of Josh Alshama. Invictus, your overall leader, with that white leader's jersey and red shorts.
You'll notice that earlier this week, these teams were tested in a 5K where they had to hold a rope together. But today, they are allowed to run individually, so you can let your fastest runners get a big lead, and some of your slower runners, you have to wait for them to come back to get those jerry cans.
Here is Adams. Those jerry cans are tandem, so each team has 2 jerry cans. Each jerry can has 3 handles. Figure out how you want to hold them amongst yourselves. The male jerry can is 200 pounds. The women's jerry can is 150 pounds.
Well, it's something you've got to think about on the fly, and something that competition director Adrian Bosman has thrown at these athletes. Hey, you've got to work this out on the go. You haven't got time to strategize prior.
All right, so once the jerry cans are loaded up onto the bob, and right now it's a small carry because the bob is all the way at the blue end zone. You've got to make your way down over these logs and get situated in this brand new implement that Bill and Katie Henniger put together at Rogue Sat down with competition director Adrian Bosman in the offseason and said, what can we craft up that's a little bit new to throw a twist into this mix?
And that is so creative. I love that these are new implements they're having to test these athletes' strength, their skills, their actual togetherness as a team. And you see here, we have actual athletes on the ground using themselves to help heave, and teammates can jump over that log traverse, and then if they're the final one, they'll be the last one to get themselves over that.
Literal lemmings out there. And now as we get set to pull this bobsled, feel the rhythm and feel the rhyme, try to move as one. 3 minutes and 11 seconds gone by.
Oh, Joel, it's just like a Viking boat. And the call of stroke every time. Athletes working in unison. And that bob just isn't sliding very much.
But Invictus, off a 2-minute first round run pace, is your first team to make it off of its initial pull. You got to pick the jerry cans back up, move them back to the blue end zone, and then begin on your second round 500-meter run.
Grip strength has been a factor all weekend. They've done a lot of work, upper body pulling, and now it's just how much grip strength you've got left. Coming into day 4, Jamie, what do you do with your arms on this run? You notice a couple of athletes having their arms by their side and trying to shake them out a little bit. What do you do to recover?
Oh, I mean, this is the 4th day. Your body feels like it's been hit by a bus, a train, a plane, everything you can think about. But you know what? Whatever is coming, this is the final day. You have to leave everything out there. You want to try to relax as much as you can in between. I love the team aspect of this, is that even though they can run individually at their own pace, they're going to have to come back in and really depend on each other.
2 teams leading the test right now are the 2 teams leading the field. Invictus and Oslo Navy Blue, and there's Josh Alshama checking his pace on that G-Shock watch. Lonely at the top.
The only place they want to be, I think.
And Josh Alshama prides himself. He says that he's great and he loves those cardio pieces, machines, and he's proving that being out in the front.
Jorge Fernandez is the team's captain. He runs from behind.
No person left behind, Joel. Round them up like sheep. Let's go, team.
If Invictus wins, that would obviously put them on the podium. They would become just the 2nd affiliate in CrossFit Games history to podium twice with the exact same group of athletes. Of course, Ute was victorious back in 2012 and 2013. The only other affiliate to ever do it. First run was 2 minutes and 2 seconds for Invictus, continuing to push the pace here. Get your official 2023 Noble CrossFit Games gear and score a bonus gift with purchase. You can scan the QR code to redeem and view terms and conditions now. Again, those jerry can bags that became so popularized last year in the Capital event for the elite individuals. 200 pounds for the guys, 150 pounds for the ladies. Their second run, 2 minutes and 7 seconds.
And Joel, the further you get away from the supposition, the further you got to carry them. And the spring over the logs, probably something that we can relate straight back to Olympic lifting and how explosive you need to be.
Oh, a lot of people do not know, but Olympic lifting can help with your vertical jump because it is so explosive and dynamic. And you see these Invictus athletes having no problem. They don't need any assistance. They're going to put their hands on that log and pop right over.
And now they get set for this bob sled pull again. The loaded bob weighs 858 pounds. But remember, you also had to put the jerry cans on top of the bob, so it increases the weight to 1,208 pounds. For perspective, we are in Wisconsin. The Milwaukee Brewers starting lineup last night was 1,700 pounds. You are pulling essentially the entire Milwaukee Brewers team down the field, one stroke at a time.
Love story time with Joel.
Load them up on there. I would love to see that.
That's right.
Across the field.
But in comparison, 708 kilos, that is a heavy shift for the 4 team members to get down the field. Probably a benefit they've got of going this early in the morning, that it's not too hot on the competition floor right now. Things will obviously heat up later on.
Invictus made this seem so easy.
Right, and we're seeing a couple different techniques on that log. So some athletes will pop up and have their chest upright and pop both feet over. Some are going to stay close and roll their legs over.
Jorge's doing it so easy. Watch this last. Oh, come on, buddy.
In fairness, that was the shortest log.
I know, but no hamstring issues, obviously.
Move fast, lift heavy, making their way back into what will be their third run in this, the final CrossFit Games appearance for Christian Harris, the team's captain, for the group based out of Long Island. Let's go down to Lauren Smith.
I spoke to Chris this morning and I asked him, is it a real retirement? And he laughed. He did nod his head and say, yes, I think so. But he's been such a key cog in the team's competition across the years. They currently sit in fourth. Now, the likelihood of them really challenging for podium with over a 100-point deficit on proven is slim. But this will be one of the strongest performances that, as individuals, they've collectively had, with Chloe Govin-David with 2 ninths and a 5th over the years, and Chris Harris equaling his best games performance of 4th. So I can say we've had a really strong weekend for Move Fast, Lift Heavy.
Lauren, thank you. This is CrossFit, folks. You are retired when you are 6 feet under. I will believe that when Christian Harris doesn't sign up for the Open next year.
Well, I spoke to a lot of these teams and athletes coming into this week, and a lot of them, Alexis Johnson, Logan Collins from CrossFit Franco's Misfits, had mentioned this is their last go at this. And you know, it is so tough. Talking to them about it, it got them emotional, it got me emotional. It just, you pour your heart and soul into this, and to know this is your final go, you can't help but fight back those tears.
They made a documentary about Michael Jordan titled The Last Dance, and he played for the Wizards.
Okay, then I'm not so sad. We'll see them out here next year.
Jamie, while they're out on this run and coming back into North Park once again, the programming from competition director Adrian Bosman's been interesting because they can't really get comfortable in this test for a specific amount of time. It's very short. They're either carrying the jerry cans or they're jumping over or traversing the logs, then they're getting in, they're pulling, then they're going back and forward. So you can't really get into a rhythm. How does that work with your team dynamic when you're normally used to working in a rhythm?
I think what happens is if you train together enough, like Invictus does, they are all in-house, they train every single day together. They know each other so well, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, so that I think it's easier to adjust on the fly and figure these apparatuses out.
Josh Alshama is from the United Kingdom, but he has been in Southern California for the better part of the last 2 years. This is an Invictus unit that is truly an Invictus affiliate team. Devin Kim began doing CrossFit at Invictus. Jorge Fernandez began doing CrossFit when he wandered in one day, quite literally off the street. This would be the first true, quote-unquote, affiliate team to win the CrossFit Games since CrossFit Invictus back in 2014. "25-minute time cap. Just past the 10:30 mark, and again the jerry can carry is getting a little bit longer as that bob is pulled further and further toward the finish. Fastest bob pull, we're looking at 42-foot segments, 1 minute and 13 seconds. That belongs to OBA right now. And this is like school children at recess. Single file, almost unisonly spaced, one after the other, popping over these logs.
The log traverse really hasn't proven to be so much of a test, just some kind of an annoyance on the way from your jerry cans to your bob pull back to that run. But what I've really admired about these teams is that they have figured it out. The bob pull doesn't seem like too big of a task for them. They are going to think about getting their legs set up, reaching with their arms extended forward, all heaving back in one motion back with a big drive back with your legs and finishing with your arms. Almost similar to a row, but a very heavy waters over there.
Rowing in unison here for Invictus. This is round 3 of the bob pull, and the times are getting faster. Invictus has been caught up to by Trondheim. They're now in second place with a 1 minute and 39 second 500-meter run in the middle of a test.
And thinking about the running they've done this weekend, this is a heavy 500 meters for 4 rounds. That's 2,000 meters of running that they'll be doing, which is that's a mile and a 400 on top of that. And that is quite a bit of running in the middle of this workout test.
Back over the log, traverses and out. Invictus comes into the final day looking for an opportunity to stomp on the throat. You're the overall leader. Don't open the door and allow other people in, and that's exactly what's happening. The Sea of Green, your leaders in this test. East Nashville Proven is in 7th place. Oslo Navy Blue is in 5th place right now.
This is the first time we're seeing athletes, once they pull that bob past that first log traverse, they now have to get that jerry can over that log before they can jump over.
This is the only log where that is an obstacle, but it is a nice little added twist that Adrian Bosman threw in.
Joe, you mentioned that pressure, and you come into day 4 of competition, you've got a massive lead when you're Invictus, but if you just nail that home, the first test of the final day, everyone else just sort of sits back and goes, okay, we can't catch you. We see that so often in competition, but Invictus, they are looking outstanding.
Final run here for Invictus. This is a 4-round test. So 2,000 total meters of running, better than a mile by the end of the test. Then the jerry can carry. You've got to jump over the logs, and then that 42-foot synchro bob pole with this planted torture apparatus to either help or inhibit you in doing so that has been added into the mix this year by Road.
As Jamie said, depending on your fatigue level, you're either in really flat water or you're in deep water. Some of these teams really starting to struggle with that pull.
Lauren spotlighted Move Fast, Lift Heavy. Christian Harris's bunch is in 2nd place. You have Prestanda, the Swedish team, right behind them.
How can you retire when you look like that?
You can't. Speaking with Griffin Raleigh, he's a 2-time CrossFit Games athlete on the demo team this year, and it was very surprising for me to find out that he said he believes that this test can be won or lost in that run, because I think teams aren't surprised. They're surprised to know what pace you have to be able to hold on that.
This took the demo team 20-ish minutes. Griffin Raleigh didn't remember exactly what they did, but he said about 20 minutes. They finished under the cap. The teams at the front of the pack right now are going to finish way under the cap. 25 minutes with which to complete the work. This is the final round, still 10 minutes ahead of that final time. As Invictus makes the turn to come back into North Park for the final time.
CrossFit Invictus doing exactly what they need to do. Sometimes with running in the middle of a test, you think of that as a recovery almost, but CrossFit Invictus knows that they're pushing this pace, and if they want to win this whole thing and prove to stand at the top of the podium, they need to go at a hard effort on those runs.
Invictus is looking for test win number 3 if they can put this away. 2-minute and 22-second run in their 4th and final round. It's their slowest run so far, but by about 10 seconds. They're not losing a ton of pace at all. This would be test win number 9 in the history of Invictus. They've been here every year. There has been a team competition. Only affiliate that can claim that. 14th team appearance. CrossFit Fort Vancouver is 2nd with 10.
Oh, he's still got springs in those legs. Those jerry cans getting a little heavier as they progress down North Park. 25-minute time cap for second last test of the weekend. And there is no stopping Invictus.
Final bob pull. The guys up front, Jorge Fernandez on the left, Josh Alshama chalking up on the right, and here we go on this final 42-foot sled pull.
Another thing to keep in mind, the final athlete sitting at the back has got to deal with all that excess rope that is coming down the field as well, so you're probably going to be covered in rope.
This sled is almost to the finish line for Invictus, and there's not another team seated yet to begin pulling. We said it yesterday. How do you win the CrossFit Games? You got to come out here and get the job done. And on the final day of competition, with their lead cut into last night at the Coliseum, the Sea of Green from San Diego, Invictus, looking for their second CrossFit Games championship. Ring the bell and answer it. You can see the judges waving them through. Hands in the air for Invictus. They will wear the leader's jersey heading into the final test at the 2023 Noble CrossFit Games.
Out of the Viking boat and throwing down the Viking hammer. We are unstoppable.
Floodgates are now going to start to open. Move fast, lift heavy, done in 18:16. Prestanda 2 seconds later. East Nashville proven, trying to wind up on the podium. Clinging on to a third place finish, East Nashville proven is now done in 18:28. Fourth place. Trondheim with their second best finish in 18:39. Oslo Navy Blue nowhere to be seen yet. Number 2 team in the overall standings, and no shortcuts will get in ahead of Oslo. All points are evaporating, and there is Oslo Navy Blue, 8th place in just inside 19 minutes.
The nice thing about the cuts is that we are down to our final 20, so there is one heat of all 20. You know exactly where you are compared to all these other teams.
Smith brothers running together, competing together. First time they've been able to do that here at the CrossFit Games.
Exactly what a younger brother should be doing. Stick with the old guy.
Tell you what, from a visual standpoint, pretty darn cool to watch all those logs, all those rows. Raph Durand, Ethan Helbig for the Rhino Dogs, and you can see that drive back across the turf. Time cap should be no issue. The question comes down to how much you want to hurt. And the answer is a lot.
You see them immediately roll over. They are spent. This is a very taxing test all around on your central nervous system, all these big muscles, all the little muscles, as well as your biceps, as your lats, as you're pulling back on your legs.
There's Krypton. Second place as an affiliate. Alex Smith was on that team back in 2019. Talk about the domination in the team competition. Since teams went to teams of 4, that was the 2018 games, so 18, 19, 21, and 22. 12 possible podium spots. 4 affiliates have taken 10 of those podium spots. Krypton is one of them. Mayhem, Oslo, and Invictus are the other 3.
Well, we saw earlier in this week that CrossFit Krypton Ben Smith had suffered a small injury, maybe tweaked something in his knee a little bit, so you wonder how much that comes into play with all this running, the jumping, pushing back on that bobsled drag with your knees and your legs. So you see him gingerly coming around on that run, but was able to complete all of these jumps, and here giving it his all on these last runs.
Speaking to Griffin Rowley earlier, he said the males were going to have to start at the front so they can take the brunt of the load. Surprised to see Ben front and center, but probably that's where you're going to be leading your team anyway.
And he's a former games champion. You know, I bet he took that with pride. He's like, I'm going to be right up there in the front.
You're going to kick me out just yet, injury or not.
Carolyn Connors on the right, Aaron O'Donnell on the left, an individual games athlete. A loaded North Park, trying to encourage Krypton here to the finish line, and the clock will save you not. Cap is still 2.5 minutes away.
Jamie, going back over the last 3.5 days of competition, and you think of the tough tests that they have done, where does this compare visually?
This is going to be really, really tough on their core. You see them giving it everything they have. They're going to need this crowd to help them with their adrenaline to finish this workout, this test strong.
One of the most celebrated athletes in CrossFit Games history, 11 times as an individual for Ben Smith. The 2015 fittest man on earth, and for the final time, he competes with a stage to his own at the end of this test here at North Park in Madison. The game's moving on after 2023. And exhausted is the way Ben Smith goes out in Madison with his team finished in 23:10 unofficial.
I don't think he'd want it any other way, would he? Empty the tank. It's day 4.
It's been a great test getting outside of the gym and testing your fitness. We've seen our traditional lifts, we've seen our traditional CrossFit, but this is going to be odd objects. What can you do with your fitness outside of the gym?
They don't even look hurt.
Tough obstacles and a tough second last test for the team competition. Hands and knees, whatever you need to do.
Very military reminiscent, right? The Jerry
Very
can.
much so, but part of teamwork. Invictus, you can hear the pull. Surprised I didn't go with the word stroke. But plenty in the tank and plenty of spring in their step, getting over the obstacles. And teamwork. This is the true test of teamwork, and Invictus cannot be stopped.
A day after the birthday of the Invictus founder and owner, CJ Martin. Happy birthday, Coach. Another test win.